Welcome to another episode, everyone. 3 whites were brutally unalived in a prison in Nevada. They got into it with the Hispanics, with some Southsiders, I suppose. And they went at it, and it was all caught on tape. I'm sure many of you have already seen the footage, as did I some time ago. And it is brutal. Many things happened on that day, as you can imagine, with 3 people losing their lives. And, there are different stories as to why this really transpired, but it was all, as I said, caught on tape. This guy here, Vegas profile stories. I'm about to react to his footage and his story about, he seems to be involved personally about what went on, about some of the things that he's saying. I don't know. But let's get right into it. Vegas profile stories. Shout out to him. Check out his channel. I'm using his footage, so let me give him a shout out. What is this? Let's go. Get right into it. Damn.
So let's start off a week before the attack happened. Muggsy, Anthony Williams, had just paid off a debt. He had owed upwards, I'm getting numbers anywhere from $400 to $4,000. It's funny how the numbers go up. It doesn't matter really to the story though, because he paid it off. It was square. What was the debt for?
Okay, I got to stop it there. So he says it's funny how the number goes up. So he's saying that it's been propaganda put out there as to why this really transpired, because he owed so much money. But he's saying that it doesn't matter. It's not relative to the story, because this guy Muggsy paid the money back. Now, Muggsy is one of the people who were unalived during this incident. And supposedly, I guess, the incident kicked off because Muggsy owed this money. He just jumped right into it, but that's sort of the backstory. But we'll get more into it.
I'll never know. I'll never ask. Money owed is money owed. It doesn't matter what it's for.
That's right.
The truth is, it doesn't mean anything good for me to even have that information. Just know it was a closed out debt. Now, fast forward a couple of days.
If the debt was closed out, that's good. If the debt was not closed out, then as this gentleman just alluded to, the amount of money, it doesn't matter there in prison, nor does it matter here on the street. You owe someone money, it's the principle. As we all know, it's the principle. Whether it was $400 or $4,000 or $4. Really, $4. The result would be the same because it's the principle. He knows this.
We take a member from the Sereno Southsider side. That doesn't sound right, Rick. It's fucking vocabulary, bro. Get one. Meanwhile, back at the story, so one of the Sereno / Southsiders rolled up, owing $40. Muggsy, he's not having it, I guess. He starts calling bros from the other tier times over to his door. He's getting loud about it. Next thing you know, perceived threats or threats are being yelled out of Muggsy's cell towards the Serenos about this debt. Maybe things along the lines of, I'm gonna get you, or things like that were possibly yelled out. I don't know, I wasn't there. Anyway, it goes.
Well, I've heard different stories since this was posted by this individual about why this transpired. I don't know, I wasn't there either. But if this is the version, yelling out the door, he said that Muggsy owed money and he paid his debt. Whatever it was that he owed, he paid it. And now a Southsider pulled up and he owes money, $40 or so. And Muggsy, I suppose, is saying, pay your money. I paid my money when I owed. Y'all made an issue about it. I paid it off. Now your people around here owing money, and y'all ain't paying it off. Pay your money off. And I guess words were exchanged, whatever. And he's saying that Muggsy, he believes, threatened someone out on a chair outside of the door. All right, it's on it. I'm going to get you or whatever. That's a big no-no in prison. I don't know if this is what happened. I don't know. I'm going to listen to what he said. All right. If that is what happened, that is a very big no-no there in the belly of the beast, the big house, to threaten anyone. Strong men have taken falls for losing their emotions, briefly issuing out threats, even though they may have meant the threat and will make good on the threat. We talking about real gangsters. But you still not supposed to let it come out of your mouth. You just take care of business. Never speak on it, because when you do, bad things happen.
What I understand, Muggsy tries to have the bros on the first tier, hit the Serenos on the first tier. Now, the bros that are out at that time, the A-dubs that are out that time on the first tier time, well, they've been back.
And by A-dubs, I believe he means Aryan warriors. A-dub, AW, calls it A-dub, Aryan warriors. This is where these whites were from. And he said that Muggsy tried to get the bros, the A-dubs, the Aryan warriors, to take off on the south side, down there on the bottom tier. They owe this money. They ain't paying. I know you threatened them. Get off on them. So your best bet, especially if you don't already threaten them, because they damn sure finna get off on you. If that's what happened, let him tell a story.
For a long time, these dudes are respected. They've got back numbers that go way the hell back, much farther than me or Muggsy or Little Dog or any of them. And they're like, no, we're not about to hit the Serenos for a $40 roll-up, especially when you owed money just a week ago. Muggsy is sold up with Little Dog at that time. And if you never met Little Dog is like, he's a warrior. That dude is about it. He just doesn't even care. He's an agent of chaos. From what I'm understanding, maybe loud talking is being heard coming out of Muggsy's cell towards Big Mike. Now, Big Mike, he's one of the top Serenos. He's been down a long time. Big Mike, we'll talk about him in a minute. Any way it goes, maybe words are said, we get you when the doors pop, that type of deal. Not really sure that's exactly how it went, but along those lines. So you have two woods that are downstairs. They open basically 10 cells at a time. It seems maybe 12 at the most. So you get like 5 or 6 upstairs and 5 or 6 downstairs. And they just cut the tier into thirds, basically. Muggsy comes out of his cell. They're joking, laughing, kind of peacocking. Muggsy's walking by. One of the bros calls him over, warns Muggsy, says, hey, look, you can clearly see they're wearing body armor. Body armor being anything from trays from dinner, magazines, extra clothes, towels wrapped around your neck.
Yes, sir. And that's your first warning. But Muggsy, not to speak ill of the dead. I don't know what happened particularly, and apparently this individual who's doing this story does not either. Understandable, he wasn't there. You may not know all of the particulars as far as exactly what was said on the tier. You know, you're not there. You don't know exactly what was said on the tier. So he's saying that he doesn't know if Muggsy actually yelled out a threat to this individual, Big Mike, who's supposed to be heavy with the Southsiders, if he yelled out a threat to him on a tier or not. Only Muggsy and the people there know that. But if that is the case, then yeah, you have to be ready at that point. And then you come out and you see them all in body armor. They all got towels and shit wrapped around their necks. Big ass, look how big they look. They wrapped up. Yeah, you have to be observant. But it seems like Muggsy came out and was just saying he's going to act like, he doesn't care. He's not worried. He doesn't have a care in the world. He just, I'm going to come out and I'm not tripping. Yeah, you got to be tripping, man. You got to be tripping when it's funk. And it's funk in the air. You got to be tripping. No.
Actually, you can't get hit as easily. Things like that. It's clear the Serenos were wearing body armor this day. Muggsy blows it off. He blows it off, walks off.
See? Muggsy blows it off. He said it. He knows it. Muggsy blows it off. Let's see.
Buddy roots up downstairs. You can see Muggsy calls all the Woods, all the A-dubs over to the table furthest from the Sereno Southsiders, and they start talking. They're parlaying. You can see a heated discussion going on between Eric Janish and Muggsy. At that time, they're talking. You can tell things are tense, right? Nobody's really looking anybody's way from either side at this point.
Okay, so I'm counting 8 Woods right now. I'm counting 8 Woods. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Unless there's someone sitting down at that table right there, which it could be. I see 8 standing up. Maybe someone sitting down too. We'll see. So far, 8 Woods. I'm just paying attention. I'm just saying, it's 8 of them. They don't have any body armor. Not like the Southsiders. Obviously, they're strapped as well. They know it's funk in the air for whatever reason, whatever was said out of the tier, whatever was supposed to happen. If Muggsy tried to get them to take off down there on the bottom tier on the Southsiders, if Muggsy yelled out of the tier a threat, whatever happened, whatever is causing the Southsiders to group up and have body armor and about to kick off a war, the Woods know about it as well. But I don't see them with body armor, but they have knives, as we're about to find out. There's 8 of them.
The Southsiders, Serenos, they don't want to tip it off that they're about to hit. And Muggsy, he's not taking it serious, and he's got Little Dog who's ready to go at all times, no matter what the situation. That's when it looks like Biscuit goes over and jumps on the phone. Muggsy follows behind him, walks past some of the Southsiders, and just back against the wall, leg up, and he's just looking around. He goes and he dabs one of the Southsiders up. Hey, what's up? He makes sure to dab him.
Muggsy. I'm not here to critique Muggsy's actions. I'm really not. But these are not good moves. This is not a good move by the other Wood that went over there to the phone, first of all. You know, I understand you want to act like it's regular program, even though you know it's funk in the air, there is tension in the air. You all got knives, so you know it's tension. You know it's possibly about to go up, but you don't want to just sit over there and continue to, y'all had y'all little meeting, break it up and go over there and get on the phone. But you go over there by yourself on the phone, and Muggsy follows you over there, shakes the Southsider hand. Muggsy is, to me, too much acting like he's nonchalant, like, you know, I don't care, I ain't tripping, like, I know y'all ain't about to do nothing or whatever. You know, to me, man.
Southsider up on the way by. They were on the phones. Everything's normal, right? Then there's a knock. A knock comes at the door that is in between the units and is for Muggsy. There's a kite slid under the door the whole time.
Damn. Did you see that? That's crazy. Muggsy, there's a knock on the door. Muggsy goes to the door. But as soon as the knock is on the door and Muggsy comes off the wall and start heading to the door, I see all the Southsiders start moving around. As soon as Muggsy is heading to the door. I see this. Muggsy didn't see this. I see them all start moving around, bro. As soon as he guts up and goes to the door, they all start fumbling and all kinds of shit. I'll prove it. Let's go back to that. Let's go back to that. Let's go back to that real quick.
A knock comes at the door.
Look. See the Southsiders over there? Right in the white here. They all start moving as soon as Muggsy start moving. You not paying attention, man. And there's funk in the air.
Is in between the units and is for Muggsy. There's a kite slid under the door the whole time. Eric Janish and Little Dog, they're still steadily not arguing, but they're having a heated discussion, you can tell. What that discussion is, no idea. As Muggsy's walking over to the door to get the kite, that's when Little Dog keys up and tells Dan to go guard. He wants him to go guard Biscuit, who's on the phone. So Dan goes walking off. Little Dog and Eric Janish, they start arguing, started having a heated discussion again. As Muggsy is walking back.
So, if for those who are keeping track, Muggsy breaks security, basically. He goes to the door and leaves his boy on the phone. Remember, the first Wood went to the phone by himself. Muggsy followed him to the wall, shaking everybody's hand. But now you went to the door, the Wood is over there by himself. So Little Dog is telling this other Wood, go over there, go over there. So the other Wood goes over there and he gets up against the wall to have his comrades back that's on the phone. That's where we're at. And Muggsy's still at the door over here getting whatever message that's coming from the knock on the door. But the Southsiders are looking tense to me. At the table, they're playing it off pretty well. They're just talking, but they're looking over there at the door. Look, they're all looking over there at the door at Muggsy. Yeah. It's about to get ugly, y'all. It's about to get ugly.
Towards the phones, towards the Twin Towers is what I call them, Biscuit and Dan, you see Big Mike make his move. Big Mike slides his piece out and goes running right after Muggsy. After Muggsy walks by, here's little Mike coming in behind him. Muggsy sees or hears the footsteps, whatever it is.
Damn.
And it's on.
I see that thing.
Little Demon, Connor Brown, he's the first one to see it going down. He hesitates, zero hesitation out of that man. He's young, 22 at the time, I believe.
Going for a stain.
Off the table, knife coming out. He's headed towards Muggsy. He sees it.
They all getting their pieces out.
He's backpedaling as Biscuit comes off the phone.
They all getting their pieces out. Dude turned around on Muggsy with a big thing and came right at him. It's up. That's the call. It's on. No words being spoken, nothing. No call given. Just coming at you trying to take your head off. This is prison.
Just starts sticking fools. Muggsy's on the floor next to Biscuit. Biscuit's trying to get him off. And the most crazy part of it all is Little Dog. What Little Dog does. Now, Little Dog is at a big disadvantage because he is sitting with his back towards the cells so that he's looking out over the whole day room from this table position. For him to get to Muggsy, he has the hardest path. Let me tell you about a dude who ran full blast head on into a wall of Serenos with knives. Little Dog never hesitated. He was up, he was on it, he ran as fast as he could across the day room. He beat everybody across to Muggsy and just jumped into a wall of knives. The dude was a savage. Now, Eric Janish, he's been locked down since 1998. The dude's got like a 4-1 number and a 5-3 back number, right? He has literally expired every single sentence he's ever had. Now, to put that 5-8 back number into perspective, Muggsy has a 101 back number, and Little Dog has a 106 back number. I myself, I have a 104 back number. 5'8", like that dude has been down a long time. So Eric, he's gained the right to be heard. He's gained the right. Nobody involved in this situation has been down longer than Eric Janish. So as I said, Big Mike's making this move. Little Dog comes charging in. Zero fucks given. The dude is just it was heroic. I've never seen anything really like that in real life. Like, this dude is cut from a different cloth. Then there's Kyle Trout, Solo. They call him Solo. Solo hesitates, is zero also. He runs right into danger. Basically backing up Biscuit, and then when he turns, he looks, he sees Eric Janish, Lil Sin, and Lee Mitchell. They're all in trouble. He takes off towards them. Lee Mitchell, I don't know. He went and sat in the corner and he got poked up by this dude. He wasn't about that life. Everybody else moved forward. Lee Mitchell literally cowered in the corner and got himself stuck. So Solo and Biscuit are backpedaling and trying to fight. Biscuit hits the ground because he's hit dead in his leg, and he's scooting back. You have Little Sin, Connor Brown, and Eric Janish. They are wedging through the day room, basically, trying to keep people off of them. You have Little Dog. When Little Dog hits this wall, he's going for the dude he's going for. He gets the guy on the ground. Little Dog's on top of him. Little Dog is sticking this fool, and he's just, getting absolutely destroyed by knives from all sides. They're hitting him, and it's relentless. Little Dog was hit over 20 times. Now Dan, who was walking up as this happened, and backpedals, boom, hits the pole, turns around. He sees Little Sin and Eric Janish being flamed. So he goes running towards Eric Janish, basically trying to get people off Eric Janish's back, while Little Sin is fighting 2 or 3 Southsiders. One of them he actually jumped on top of. At one point, he just bull rushed him, took him down, started sticking him. That was Smokey. And Smokey almost lost his life. Had Smokey not had his head on straight, he would have very easily lost his life, because he was hitting the artery, he was bleeding out, and it was bad. And that was due to him and Little Sin, and what happened between him and Little Sin that day. Now, the Sereno at this time that's hitting Lee Mitchell, who is curled up and scooting back in the corner, well, he stands up. He comes running across as Muggsy has made it to his feet and Little Dog has made it to his feet, and they are coming across the day room, and the Sereno that's hitting Lee Mitchell is backing up. He doesn't realize he bumps into Muggsy and swipes at Muggsy. Now, I believe he misses Muggsy here, but Little Dog, he wasn't having it. He was right there, and he reaches out and he pokes that Sereno. That Sereno turns around. I don't know if he has a knife in his hand or if he has thrown a punch, but Little Dog was hit in his carotid artery, and he was losing blood quick. One of the Serenos in this had just a sword, basically. And we'll talk about that here in a minute too. But as Little Dog is hit, he just falls. He falls, he's lost too much blood, he's hitting his carotid artery, and he's hit over 20 times. A lot of them superficial, a lot of them weren't though. So when Little Dog falls, the Sereno that was hitting Lee Mitchell that hit Little Dog runs up. Little Dog's trying to come back up off the ground, and he gets kicked in the face by that one. So they all back off. By now, the COs, they all have their pepper balls. They're pepper balling the hell out of the Serenos. They're hitting them in the head. They're headshotting these dudes. They spread everybody apart. And now you have this cluster of 8 A-Dub and Woods. And then along the back wall, you have all the Southsiders, Serenos, they're all laid down. Eric Janish goes straight into triage mode. He tries to triage Little Dog first, because he's the one that's on the ground, right? Eric Janish is the one who pulled Little Dog to safety, and now he had to triage himself because he was hit in the side really badly. So he had to tie himself off, almost create like a tourniquet, but not just pressure, trying to keep himself from bleeding out. They were hit bad. That's when Lee Mitchell comes from around the corner, and Solo and Eric Janish and Lee Mitchell drag Little Dog over to the sally port door. They open the sally port door. All the COs leave the sally port. They close the other side. They let them in. Well, Lee Mitchell sees this as his chance to get the fuck out of there, and he does just that. So they drag Little Dog in. Lee Mitchell, being the coward that he is, he just stays in there with Little Dog's now deceased body. The rest are closed back out in the day room. Eric, Janish, and Solo could have very...
So Little Dog, he's already gone. He's already died. Now, dude is saying, obviously, I mean, I don't know. I don't want to judge the storyteller here, but, you know, he's not happy about what happened, and he's saying, you know, how much of a soldier this guy was and that guy was. And it's true. I mean, they did not hesitate. They jumped in the fray. A Little Dog and these other names that he's naming, these dudes at the Woods, for the most part, when the Southsiders came at Muggsy. It looks like the Woods, indeed, they did not hesitate. Even though they were outnumbered and what have you, they withdrew their weapons and tried to attack. But something still didn't go right with that attack or that defense, because 3 of them ended up losing their lives. It was just 3 of them, no one else. Little Dog, as he said, he's already deceased right here in the Sally Port. And the other guy who he refers to as a coward, has made his way out, and he's in there with them.
Easily done the same thing as Lee Mitchell, who cuffed up. They got Lee Mitchell out of there before they even got Little Dog. Before anybody got Triage, Lee Mitchell got out of that unit on some coward shit. Basically, he used Little Dog's dead body to get his way out of the unit. Now Muggsy's standing, he's got his hands on his hips, he's got his knife out. Eric triages, he's looking at Muggsy. Muggsy's hit, he's hitting a jugular, he's hitting a liver, he's hitting a kidney. He's in bad shape. He's been hit over 20 times too, twice in the head. So Muggsy's standing there, he looks across the unit and yells, "Fuck all you motherfuckers." That's when the Southsiders, Sereno side, they stand back up. They're coming for a second wave. Now the COs, they're aiming for the head. They start headshotting, boom, 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 boom. I'll show you, there's welts on some of these Serenos heads from these pepper balls. I mean, they were being destroyed by these COs and these pepper balls. So they back them off, and that's when Muggsy sits down. Now, as the Southsider Serenos are coming in for the second wave, Lil Sin kind of stumbles and crawls and pulls himself up the stairs to try and get away from it. Now, in the middle of the stairs, there's a flat. Now, Little Sin, he's standing on that flat holding the railing, and then he goes down. Little Sin is bled out. He was also hit in an artery, and he was bleeding. He was bleeding too badly. He was hit right here. He was hit in his carotid artery at the base, I believe. And you can see when he's hit. And Biscuit looks over and says, "Hey, where are you hit?" Little Sin says, "Just right here. I'm just hit right here." He doesn't even know that he's bleeding out internally. That's when Solo and Eric Janish, they help drag alongside Dan, and they drag Lil Sin over to the Sally Port door. Now, the COs, they're not going to let the bigger group, the actual who's who, into the Sally Port with knives. They're just not going to do it. So they're telling Eric, Solo, and them, "Hey, you got to throw the knives in," right? You see Biscuit, he throws a knife in. You see Eric Janish, he throws a knife in. They're doing whatever they need to, right? Except for Dan. Dan will not come off his knife. Dan has it wrapped. He is guarding Muggsy at this point, and they are doing CPR on Little Sin. So finally, the COs see them start to do chest compressions on Little Sin, on Connor Brown, and they clear the Sally Port. After 2 knives are thrown in, they clear it, and they let them they start dragging Little Sin in. As they drag Little Sin in, Eric Janish comes back out, and he grabs Muggsy. Now Muggsy has collapsed basically into his lap. While they are arguing with the COs to open the door, the Sally Port door, at one point Muggsy goes out. You can tell he goes out of consciousness. He's laying on his back. Then he comes back to consciousness, and he puts his hands behind his head like this, like he's at the beach. This is the most wild thing. He just lays back. I believe this is when he knows that he was mortally wounded. Basically, he was drifting off. That's about when they open the door. So as they drag Little Sin in, who is not responsive and not breathing, Eric comes back out with Dan. They grab Muggsy by the legs, and they start dragging Muggsy into the Sally Port. Muggsy's head comes up, and he's aware, he's looking around, right? And they close the Sally Port. This is finally when Dan comes off the knife. He just dumps it, but Dan was standing guard over Muggsy, and he was not going to get rid of the only thing that can save them if the pepper balls don't work on the third wave. So there's nothing wrong with what he did. Now, Lee Mitchell, he's already probably out the unit into the triage by now. They're working on Little Dog, who is hit all in his lungs, his spleen, and basically his carotid artery at the base has been severed. They're not able to save him. So everybody who can cuff up, cuffs up. Everybody who can't, they come in, they cuff Lil Sin and they cuff Muggsy, even though they are basically out. And Lil Sin's not even breathing, but they cuff him up anyway, and they drag them out. Then they come back in, they get Eric Janish because he's hit, and he's the one who's been triaging. Eric Janish went through it that day, and you could tell he had the respect of the Serranos. They all, even Big Mike walked by as they were let out of their cells, and Big Mike even gave him love, right? Eric Janish been down since 1998, and he had a parole date. He had a parole date coming up, and now that's all blown, and all this is going on, right? Now, as Muggsy is being loaded into the ambulance or the helicopter or whatever, he's still talking shit. That fool went out talking shit, and that's wild. He would come to consciousness, and that fool was just talking shit his whole way out. It was insane. I shouldn't laugh about it, but I mean, that's kind of who Muggsy is, right? Eric Janish, he tried to stop it. He tried to stop it. You can tell he tried to stop it from even happening. It had gone too far, and when it went too far, he knows whose side he has to protect. He knows what he has to do. He knows, and it sucks to be put in that position of after doing 20 years, expiring each and every sentence that you have to the next consecutive sentence, you know, and you finally got freedom coming up. You know, it's a petty thing. Even the other bros were like, no, I'm not involving. We're not doing that. We're not hitting Serranos for $40. You know, it's crazy. It's crazy what Eric Janish had to go through and to triage everybody and himself.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it is crazy. And I understand the angle that this individual, the storyteller, is taking. And again, I'm not here to disparage anyone. This is really a sad incident that transpired. And again, I'm not here to blame Muggsy or anyone. Whatever happened is sad, man. It's traumatic. It's traumatic watching it, right? You're talking about, you know, 3 people who were brutally unalived right before your eyes. You know, severed arteries and all this shit he talking about. Where they got hit at, you know, obviously they bled out, internal bleeding. I mean, them Serranos, they was on them. And the Woods came out with knives too, as we seen. But I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what happened. They were overpowered, man. They couldn't do too much damage. I guess one Southsider got stabbed up some or whatever. But it was only 3 Woods that lost their lives. Muggsy, Lil Dog, and this other guy that he's talking about. And it's just a sad story, a sad situation all the way through. You know, there's nothing to glorify, nothing to be happy about. Three people losing their life, especially over something like this, but over anything, but over $40, $4,000, or $4 million. None of that is worth a life. And then, and that's what I always go back to. That's what I talk about all of the time, is that you're responsible oftentimes for something that your homeboy does. So you're put in a situation where, though you're doing well, as this individual here is saying on his channel here, this video, that so-and-so was short to the house. He was about to go home. And essentially he's put into this predicament. He didn't, everyone but Muggsy. If Muggsy was the culprit, if Muggsy was the initiator, if Muggsy did indeed threaten someone, whatever the situation was that may have initiated this, then everyone else that was involved on both sides were really involved by default, really involved inadvertently, really involved and had nothing to do with it. It's really like I've always said, I constantly say, you're responsible, your homeboy. This is why people are so hard on their homeboys, their comrades, their cohorts, in their own car, in their own faction in prison. These are the rules and the stipulations amongst our car. And if you break them, we're going to demolish you. And it's because when you break these rules, bad things happen. And bad things happen to everyone, not just you. Because we are a part of you, you are a part of us, we are together, then whatever you are involved in here on the yard, we are involved in automatically, whether we want to be or not. We have to get involved. And people don't want to lose their dates to come home and lose their lives for something someone else did. They had nothing to do with it. Little dog had nothing to do with this, from what he's saying. And the other individual that lost his life had nothing to do with this. Muggsy didn't deserve to lose his life. But the other individuals who now got to come out with knives, and you got to get out and get involved because your homeboy over here getting stabbed up, and now you lose your life. And you like, damn, I ain't even doing nothing. I ain't had nothing to do with none of this shit. All because you threatening somebody on the tier? The Southsiders, who unalived the whites, they had to get involved. Some of them, I'm sure they want to be bothered with this. They didn't want to get involved. But yeah, you threaten their people, you threaten Big Mike and this and that. They gotta get out. They gotta perform. But some of them was probably about to go home. Got parole dates, whatever. It's like, damn, now we got to come out here with knives and attack the whites. And then we're going to attack them. We really got to, they're going to have knives too. We can't go out and play it. We really got to try to put it in, get it in, which obviously they did. And they hitting them and they hitting them. But some of them probably like, damn, man, now we got to come out, stab people up, kill people and shit, catch murder charges and all this. The other end of it, like that, we got to come out and get stabbed, get killed, all because of someone else did. Whoever it was, whatever was done, whatever was said, they didn't have anything to do with it. Which is why when you're on the yard and you get into nonsensical stuff, and you are a part of a faction, a section, these individuals are going to take care of you because you are jeopardizing them. I've said this many times. You're jeopardizing their life by your actions. Because when someone comes for you, they have to get involved, whether they want to or not. If not, that's their ass. So they're going to get involved. So, you're jeopardizing everyone with your foolishness, which is why some cars are real tough on you. They're tough on that. You get out of line, we gonna bust your ass. Not because we scared of the people that you got out of line with. It's not about fear. It's about respect, bro. That's it. We don't fear anyone. We respect everyone, though. And you're disrespecting them. That's it. And you gotta go.
He was mortally wounded also. Like Eric Janish very easily could have lost his life. And by the grace of God, he didn't. Eric, if you ever watch this, I know you're out now. Eric has paroled, finally. And I know what you went through is unimaginable. Even I can't even imagine. And just watching it just breaks my heart. And I hope one day you do find peace. I know what you had to go through. I watched what you had to go through. Let me put it that way. I don't know what you had to go through because. Yeah,
and that's the whole thing. People may think that this will not affect an individual because, they're tough and they're in prison and they're killers or whatever. So what? It's not going to affect them. But yes, he's human. This will affect anyone. Sitting inside of a day room being attacked. He probably having nightmares and all kind of shit. You done seen 3 people lose their lives right before your eyes. You seen them when they got stabbed in that certain place. You running for your life and stabbing back and swinging knives and getting hit. It's like a war in there. Everyone got a knife. People bleeding everywhere. People trying to save their lives. CPR being performed. Guns being shot. Yeah, that dude needs, he's going through it mentally after going through something like that. He's human.
That is I'm sorry that you had to go through that, bro. So 36-year-old Kyle Traub, also known as Solo, he's been locked down since 2018 on an 8 to 20 year sentence. His first parole hearing, his mandatory parole review, is in February of 2026. He has a mandatory expiration date of January 2029, and those are for robbery and ex-felon possession of a firearm. He got 8 to 20 years for that. And Solo didn't even hesitate. He ran right into it when it went on. He knew it was time, and he made his move. He tried to triage. He tried to help with CPR. He did everything that he could. 22-year-old Connor Littleson Brown obviously lost his life when he was hit in his carotid artery. He didn't hesitate one bit either, and he charged through a wedge as they were being flanked. Connor Brown had a mandatory parole review that would have been in February of 2027 and a mandatory out date of May 2031. So he still had a little bit of time left, but he's about a third of the way through his sentence. He was only 22 years old when he passed away. I gotta tell you, watching the videos, Connor Brown is the one that, I don't know, it hit different, it felt different watching because he's so young and fearless. You got to look at Muggsy and know Muggsy to know that, like, Muggsy went out how Muggsy was always, I think, destined to go out. And Little Dog, being who he is and how he is, went out the way Little Dog, just a savage, a warrior, right? But Connor Brown, he's half their age, you know? And I don't know, man. Something about it. Just, it was hard to watch Connor fall. Lil Dog had his first mandatory parole review in March of 2029. He was doing like 7 to 18 years for racketeering after he went down in the last RICO with, you know, Coco turning on him and all that. 43-year-old Lee Michael Mitchell.
What the hell is Coco?
Is a coward. He's already out on parole. He was the first one out of the unit. He used somebody's deceased body to even be able to get out of that unit. He never once took the offense or tried to help defend anybody that was in there with him. That dude was...
Yeah, people do that all the time. I mean, he's out in here. I'm showing his picture, and the dude is out now. Saying he's a coward and he uses his dead body. They do that shit in the military. They do that shit in war. You're already dead. You want me to die too? Shit, goddamn. I'm just saying.
A coward. All he cared about was himself and getting the hell out of there. And it shows. If that dude, if he runs around town, he talks about how he check that fool because he ain't shit. Muggsy was hit in the jugular, and Muggsy went out how Muggsy was always supposed to go out. Muggsy and Big Mike having this issue, that's two lifers. Two lifers. We'll talk about it in a minute, what it costs for real, but two lifers having a beef over a $40 roll-up is insane, the price that's being paid now over that. Muggsy obviously was doing life without parole for the murder that he took a deal on. Basically, so Torque could only get 10 years of Andrew Thurgood in the prison hit in High Desert in like 2016, I believe it was. And they were all charged in the racketeering, the RICO that just went down in 2018. They were all charged in that because of that. And Muggsy was never getting out. He had no chance of getting out. 39-year-old Daniel Dan Andrews. Now, Dan saved Eric Janish and Connor Brown from being stuck on a flank, and he guarded over Muggsy. I mean, everything popped off so fast. As he's walking, he sees a wall of knives coming towards him. As he's backpedaling, he's fighting them off, and then he sees the flank coming, and he gets over there, and he does what he has to, and then he guards Muggsy through the whole thing. Dan has a mandatory parole review of January 2029, so he's still got some time to do, with a mandatory out date of September of 2032, I believe. Dan has been down since 2017 on a 12 to 30 year beef for a robbery. And then there's Biscuit, Andrew Gabazi, 29 years old. He never hesitated. Biscuit was the first one to walk over with no back to go to the phone to even test to see what was going on with the Serenios and Southsiders. Once it all popped off, Biscuit never even hesitated. He just turned around, started sticking fools, and got stuck himself really bad. When you take Biscuit, Little Dog, and Solo, they're the real reasons why Muggsy was able to get back to his feet and run back across the day room together with the other A-dubs. Had they not been there, they would have just killed Muggsy right there on the spot. He would have never stood a chance. Now, Biscuit has a mandatory parole review.
He still didn't stand a chance, man. He still died. He still didn't stand a chance, bro. At the end of the day, man, this is, as I said, very sad, and it's not worth it. It could have been resolved differently. I don't even know what transpired originally to cause this sort of reaction. But whatever it was, it could have been resolved differently. This is when cooler heads must prevail. This is when one cannot allow his anger to supersede his intelligence. An intelligent man knows, you have to withdraw the emotion, or detach yourself from that and think logically, particularly when you're behind those walls. Because if you get emotional, you're bound to make a mistake, and say something or do something that you will eventually regret. You're dealing with a bunch of wolves in there, and they're uncompromising when it comes to their respect. And you have to be careful of how you relate to men. And this could have been handled in a different manner. These individuals lost their lives, and it didn't have to go that way. If just someone else would have stepped in some way, whatever happened, someone could have stepped in and resolved this before it got to this point. Easily paid the money, whatever the situation is. It could have been resolved, I guarantee, before it came to someone feeling disrespected, threatened, and feeling like this has to happen now. And then this is the end result. It's not how you start, it's how you finish. It's not the beginning. It's the ending that you have to be concerned about. I just spoke about this.
Whether or not he gets that, I'm not sure. He's been locked up doing a 4 to 10 for robbery and possession of stolen vehicle. Now let's talk about the 20 some odd men who have been indicted on this from the Sereno side. You have Big Mike. Big Mike Jesus Hamarillo. Yeah, Hamarillo. I don't know. I don't really speak Espanol very well, but it just sounds right to me. They call him Big Mike. Big Mike is doing life plus 48 to 125 years. He's never getting out, and he knows that. He's down on 2 robberies, a murder, robbery with the use of a deadly, conspiracy, all that, right? But then there's the one charge that nobody asks about or talks about. Abuse with substantial bodily harm. How are you the head of anything with that charge? Maybe the case factors are there somehow. I don't understand it. How is anybody taking orders from a dude with that charge? That's my only question about that. Big Mike's been down since 2002, and his first shot at parole would be.
So he's calling out the Southsiders. He's saying, listening to someone who has bad charges. I don't know. Really, at the end of the day, that's neither here nor there, because he was there on the main line, and everyone knew it, and he felt disrespected or whatever. And the Serenos were backing him up to the point that they took 3 individuals' lives, backing up Big Mike from the way that this individual is telling the story.
2091. Dude's never getting out. Now, I will tell you this. Big Mike tried to take the hit for it all. Investigators, when they're talking to everybody, Big Mike said, hey, I just acted. It was a beef between me and Muggsy. I went to hit Muggsy, and they reacted off of my move. This wasn't planned. That's all good, except that investigators looked at it like, okay, well, how does everybody have knives and you're out with allies and everybody's wearing body armor? Which, I'm not a cop, I don't know. Everybody that was in the day room on the Southside or Sereno side has been charged with 3 murders and 5 counts of attempt murder for this incident. Whether or not they took any action in this at all or not, It doesn't matter. They've all been charged. Simply being in the day room has cost you 3 murders. We're talking first term, non-violent offenders who did not have weapons and did not wear body armor. And there are 1 or 2 of them did not partake in this. They stayed to the back. They did not have, they obviously knew nothing was going to go on. They didn't even have a weapon. One of them actually having to fight off Eric Janish as he's flanking around to save Eric Little Sin in the melee. You have a guy who doesn't have a weapon, doesn't have body armor on, obviously is green and fucking Sammy Sausage Head, does not know what's going on, has been charged with 3 murders and 5 counts of attempt murder.
Damn.
Just simply for being there. So the men involved on the Sereno side, you had obviously Big Mike. You have Michael Banuelos, also known as Crook. He's 35 years old.
So 3 murders and 5 attempted murders. So 8 individuals. I got counted 8 was, so it was 8 woods in the day room. 3 of them dead. And they got 5 attempted murders on the other 5 that was there. But it don't look like it was just like a gang of Southsiders in there either. They don't, you know, all like that. I mean, woo.
And he was doing a 2 to 8 year sentence. And he's been down since 2021. He has his first mandatory parole review the 30th of August, 2025. So today, tomorrow, whatever. He would have expired that sentence. Would have expired it in March. We're talking like, what's that? 8 months? 8 months from now, he would be expiring that. And when he expires that, he'll expire that into the custody of or start his new sentence, whatever happens with this case. 36-year-old Ricardo Suarez. He was doing 6 to 15 years on a DUI causing death or substantial bodily harm. 6 to 15 years. Now he's been down since 2021. So we're talking he's only a couple of years from his mandatory parole review, and 2028 is going to be his expiration on that. Imagine going away for DUI and getting caught up and charged for 3 murders and 5 attempt murders. It's like, God, what's that movie? God, it's a good movie too. Well, you're brain dead, Rick. I swear to God. In broken parts. Shot collar. It's like shot collar. Dude goes in on a DUI and he's never probably going to get out. He's facing life right now. 40-year-old Gerardo Grumpy Aparicio, he's doing a 4 to 10 right now. In 2019, the day after Christmas, Grumpy, he catches, well, there's a death. They call it a manslaughter. He gets 4 to 10 years.
How does dude know all of this stuff?
25, Grumpy.
God damn.
Expires his sentence.
He done did a whole investigation.
He's been released to the custody of
What the-
whoever is over.
What the hell?
I know it's the Nevada Attorney General's office is taking over the.
Okay, so
Charging, I think it's White Pine County.
I'm about to end this video. I don't know. He litigating the whole cases that all of them got.
And now he's looking at a life
Okay, all right. He's looking at a life sentence. All right. So there you have it, people. That's what happened, man. That's it. That's it for that video. That's enough of that already, anyway. You know, and it was vicious, as you can see. You just witnessed it. 3 individuals lost their lives, all belonging to the Aryan Warriors, I suppose, a white group, racist group there in prison. And whatever happened, whether someone was threatened or not, I don't know. But whatever the situation, it's all bad. That, again, could have been prevented. Rest in peace to all of those individuals. You know, that's, you know, like I said, some of them had nothing to do with it. Probably couldn't have stopped it if they wanted to. Probably was trying to stop it. Probably was trying to resolve the issue before it came to this, knowing they was going to have to come out there with knives and risk their lives, and they still couldn't stop it. You know, and they had nothing to do with it, but still ended up losing their lives. So, that's prison. And that's why you need to stay out of prison. That's why it's not worth it being in prison. That's what can happen in prison, and that is what happens all of the time. These people, they went in there. Some of them had a few months left, a few years left, what have you, and they never made it out. They're never coming home. They died right there in prison, right there on a dirty-ass prison floor, bleeding, opened up, leaking. all for some nonsense, apparently. And this is what can happen when you go into prison. Even though you're taking care of your business and doing right, somebody else has involved you in something, and now you out here losing your life or taking a life. This is why you have to stay free. Ridiculous, crazy, man. Traumatic situation is what that was. Stay free, people.